All right, guys, we're talking about trash. So solid domestic waste increases when there's more people and more consumption. Whoa. But just because there's more people doesn't mean there's going to be more waste. If those people consume less, we'll be okay. So the production as well as the management can have an effect on sustainability. So with the story of stuff, we looked at the full process, taking virgin materials and then ending up with disposing of them as the final process. There's different types of solid domestic waste, and then the volume and disposal of those types changes through time. So here's a few great practice questions, so you could double check to see if you can do them. Obviously, it's hard to tell the exact numbers here, so just make sure you know how to do that sort of equation. There's different types of non-biodegradable pollution. So we have plastic, which we can deal with, and other stuff, batteries and e-waste, which are a little bit more difficult to deal with, but there are specialized centers for recycling e-waste. And actually batteries too. A lot of people just throw their batteries away, but that acid can actually leak and cause a lot of problems in landfills. So not a good thing to do. So some of those disposal options include just throwing in the ground. Great. Recycling, and then composting, which we do here. And then this really interesting name, combustion with energy recovery, AKA just burning the hell out of it, incineration. So you could think about the sustainability of these different options, and then how preferable they are, right? So preventing disposal in the first place is obviously the most preferable. And then reducing the amount, reusing where possible, recycling. And then our last case scenario is figuring out how to dispose of these items. The question here is to evaluate the effectiveness of reducing or reduction in composting based on their position in the pyramid. So you can see reduction up here, and then you might consider where composting would be. They have energy recovery down here, which, I mean, it does make energy, but I feel like composting's sort of more like reusing, right? We take our food and we reuse it by turning it into nutrients that we use in the soil. Here's our favorite little figure 3. So we could think about this as far as landfills and trash. So we could control the release by trying to reduce the amount of pollution in the first place. I feel like encouraging recycling, I don't really know if that would fit into controlling the release. Yeah, okay, yeah. I thought they were trying to alter human activity. That would be like, bring a reusable bag instead of using a plastic bag. Or we could try to use paper instead of plastic. Or, we could do a cleanup campaign, go remove all that stuff from the environment. And then you can see an example here of how incinerators actually work. And, there is the little added benefit that we are producing some electricity. But there's some pretty nasty stuff that is also created, especially if you're burning some. Like, I just saw a video of this person that was on a hike somewhere, and they had a little fire, and they just put their bottle of straight up a bottle of water, and then they had the water boiling, and then they poured in a glass, and then I don't think they drank it because they would probably have a really bad time. But yeah, this is some nasty stuff. So hopefully you should be able to evaluate some of these disposal options. And when you're evaluating it, it's good to think holistically, right? Like, what is the environmental impacts? What are the economic impacts? And what are the social impacts? How is this affecting the people? Where are these, landfills, recycling plants, incinerators, where are they actually going? You should be able to compare and contrast different pollution management strategies, and then evaluate the use of recycling or incinerating or composting. Some international connections are here. There's a really interesting connection between China and recycling. So a few years ago, basically, they're like, hey, we're not going to take any more plastic recycling, because basically they're getting swamped. Everyone's like, oh, I can recycle the plastic, so I'll just buy as much as I want. And to the point where a lot of places can't even deal with the amount of recycling they have. If you Google some videos, you can see Pacific Islands that just have heaps of plastic waste because they just literally can't deal with it. Really complex issue. And then some theory of knowledge connections if you want to go there. Once again, shout out to Mr. Kramer.